long time, I was scared to share my true color, to be who I truly was. I was hiding in the story I was reading, fearful of what people would think about me. But this end now. I've stopped running. I decide to accept my diversity. Today, I will share our story of neurodiversity and mental health awareness. Welcome on the ADHD Melly Show. Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. And firstly, before we start, we have a new sponsor, and I'm so happy. So I have you see the 0 dB that I'm using now, if you want to see the color. So this is going to help you feel a little bit more silent in your head and being able to concentrate a little bit better while you're working, or simply when you feel too anxious or stressed. We have also the caffeine version just here also. So if you want to check it out, I'm going to put right now the link where you can get it. And you're going to get 15% off if you use that promo code. And at the same time, I'm going to get a little bit of money too for the show. So it's going to be so awesome like that too. So now so today we're going to talk with Isaac, and we're going to talk about mental health obstacle when you have a disability, and that's what we're going to talk today. So let's go. We're going to invite Isaac coming down.
Hello,
Hey, how are
hello.
you?
Yeah, good. Great to be here with you. Yeah,
So can you a
finally.
little bit introduce yourself to people that don't know you?
Yeah, so my name's Isaac, and I was born with a disability called limb pelvic hypoplasia, which means I have no arms and short legs. And I live in the East London area, and I haven't let this disability stop me from doing things in life.
So, what makes you decide to be an ambassador of yourself and share your story on the internet? Because you've just break a record on one of your posts. It went so viral when you showed people how you edit video with your feet, and everybody was so impressed about it. And your followers just go from how much it was before, and
It was,
now.
yeah, 5,000 to about 25,000 now.
So how do you deal with popularity?
Oh gosh, it's not easy. It's not easy doing it solo. But no, it's been cool, and I think it's now give me a chance to amplify my voice and what I have to share. And as you said, why do I want to do it? It's because I want to advocate the space for people who may not have a voice, and also just show people what can be done even if you have a disability.
So how was your childhood when you were a child? How was it for you?
I was quite lucky. I had very supportive friends and family who always encouraged me to be the best version of myself and never really told me, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. They kind of always encouraged me, which definitely helped me grow up. But it wasn't as easy because um, accessibility wasn't a really major thing. And I used to have to get cabs everywhere. I wasn't able to use public transport because it wasn't very accessible. But as time's gone by, it's got a lot better, and I got to thank the friends and family around me for supporting me.
There's still some things that needs to be improved about accessibility, even
Oh
here in
yes,
Montreal. Going in stores or going to the restaurant, there's stairs everywhere. Mostly in old cities, right? It's harder to have
yeah,
accessibility because of that,
mm.
of how it was built. You're in the UK, you know what it is because you have a lot of old buildings there where
Oh
it's
yes,
harder
very,
to to just
yeah.
be accessible. So if there was one thing that you would want to change in the accessibility that you have now to improve it, what will it be?
I think the main thing is what will make the real change is people having a open mind about things. Um, I think it starts with the people who are within the buildings who don't make it accessible for me to enter them. Um, and I think there needs to be more of an open mind and willing to talk to us as well, because there's that lack of people wanting to actually speak to us, and they always assume what needs to be done. and then they end up getting it wrong, and then they have to pay money to fix it when they could have just spoken to us in the first place.
Yeah, it's true. So, as we were talking about mental health, I know that you
Yes.
got a lot of help about your physical condition, but how was it for your mental health?
So that was the most struggle I had. So as I said, with my disability, loads of people would always encourage me to be the best version of myself. So overcoming things with my disability was very easy, but the problem was because I was known as this inspirational figure. So Isaac who's done a skydive, Isaac who's gone skiing, Isaac who's done sailing. Had the mindset that you know people don't want to hear the honest story. They just want to see me being able to do things. So that meant I wasn't being honest with myself, and I wasn't being honest with the audience, which really took a toll on me because every time someone would say, "How are you doing today?" I'd say, "Oh, I'm fine," um, when in reality I wasn't. And then it kind of got to a breaking point where I was like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. So for the first time in 23 years, I took a step back, and I took the opportunity to start learning about the mind and how the mindset works. And that's when I started learning about things like the law of attraction and how we think, feel, and speak is the reality that we end up creating. And that once I learned that, I completely changed, and I started to be honest with myself and honest with others. And surprise, surprise, people wanted to listen to me, and people could actually relate to what I was saying as well. And I feel as soon as I was honest online and with the people around me was when my voice amplified and people were willing to really listen.
It's true because even for me, right, I felt way more free when I just decided to accept the reality I was
Mm,
living, so not feeling that well. And I think that it's better to just saying because I have a little viral post, not like yours, but I had a post that it was very viewed, more than 1,000 likes, so it was
mm,
my most best ever. And people were just like, I was just saying that I need a job, and I
mm.
got a good interview and I just need good thoughts to go through it because I was like I need that job, because my financial is not very good right now and everything's just collapsing and I want to stay out of the water. So I'm just telling the truth and I got that much view. So it works to just being honest and just being honest with yourself and with your audience. You're not doing well, and it's okay to not feeling well all the time. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not a machine, Oops, I just put the light on because I forgot to put it on.
That's right.
So much better.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
So yeah, just being honest, and that's the key, So when
Yes,
you start feeling that you were not yourself and you want to be a people pleaser, so you want to do things instead of just thinking for about what you really want to do in life. You just want to do things because people want you to perform all the time because you have
yes.
a disability and they want to see you go flying the sky like you said you.
Yes,
So
yeah.
so when you felt like that it's maybe not what you necessarily want and you're not feeling really well with yourself, have you started talking to someone or you just starting reading and doing research? Have you tell somebody or you were a little bit ashamed of not feeling good while you were all the people were taking care of you?
So it was kind of so I kind of had this enlightening moment when I was 23. I'm 26 now. And it was just for me to have my own journey of learning. Um, and I just really just started learning online really, and because in school I had counseling for a little bit because I wasn't feeling great at coming to the end of my school life. um and at the time, counseling, I didn't really understand counseling, and I was like, why am I telling this woman all my problems? Like she's not helping me. so, so I kind of didn't really understand why it was happening. But now I've got older, and having that understanding of life, it's made me understand why it's important to speak to people and why honesty is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Honesty is the best to just go away. It's not going away from your problem, it's going fear on it. It's just to go, okay, I'm not feeling good. I have to take these actions to feel better. I need
Mm,
to respect myself and how I feel, etc., etc.
yeah.
Yeah. And therapy is not comfortable like
I
Wama tells. It is not. I
know.
hate it every moment that I had to go to therapy when I was a child. So I decided to never go back, and that's not a good thing because you need therapy. It's normal to need it sometime in your life. And it's
Yeah,
okay to fire your therapist because you don't feel it's the
comfortable.
right one for you and go see another one. But of
Mm,
course, when you're at school, because that's when I've seen therapists too, you cannot choose a therapist because it's the only one in the school, right? You have
mm.
no choice to go see that person.
Yeah.
And sometimes people almost force you to go to see the therapist,
Yes, yeah.
and it's like a forcing us to see the therapist is not the right thing to do. It just
Not always.
make it so you have been forced going to therapy.
Yeah, yeah. In school, I did, yeah, because I was always complaining to the teacher, like I'm not happy and this and they said, oh well, why don't you speak to the therapist? And like I said, I went there and I was like, why am I speaking to this random woman about my problems? Like, how is she helping me? So I think I only did like 2 sessions and I didn't go again.
I do feel you. I was forced to go to therapist too when I was a child, and it was the worst experience in my life. And I was like, I'm 33. I'm like, I never been back to a therapist because I'm like scared that experience are going to come again and again,
Mm,
And at the same time, I should need to go, and it's like scaring me. So I will suggest to anyone that looking this and you're a therapist in the school, please don't force the children to talk to
mm,
you about their problem, okay? Just take the time to introduce yourself and do the talking. You're the one that's going to do the talking for a while, and it's okay that to have nothing about the child that doesn't want to talk to you. It's okay. They don't know you. You're a stranger, right? They don't even talk about those things to their parents. Why should they talk to you about it?
but
So
well, I mean, it's important to mention a therapist. Yes, they're known as this professional, but I mean, your friends can be your therapist, your family can be your therapist. And sometimes I do admit, sometimes it is good to speak to strangers because they don't know the full story.
mhm.
But I think when you're young, it's kind of like that. They're not so comfortable speaking to strangers. When we're older, like we understand it, but when you're kids, it's like, nah, who am I talking to right now? So,
Exactly, and it's okay. And like David said, it started with building trust. But both should talk and not being like with your paper like this and say with your note, okay, and writing all down. That's what my therapist was doing. That was putting me anxious and give me anxiety. I was seeing my therapist writing notes, and I was like, oh my goodness, what will she say everything to my mom? You have no
yes.
idea what's going to happen. That's normal to feel overwhelmed, and I was so much overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, she is. He's my giggle therapist, and I had a whole weekend with her last week for the fashion show, and the giggles definitely helped go through that whole weekend, which was good. So,
So, how was it to do your first experience as a model?
oh, it was overall, it was a good experience, and on the outside, it was great, and it was it was a totally new experience. I did write a post about it, the behind the scenes today, on a lot that needs to be improved for it to be truly inclusive and a place where everyone feels equal. Because we went to an event last Friday, which was excellent, that they had people of different shapes and sizes. Um, We had little people, people who had autism, wheelchair users. Everyone was represented, but when it came to behind the scenes, people still had a bit of attitude problem with people with disabilities still. Access into the venue wasn't perfect. So we have a lot to do when it comes to inclusion. But for my first experience, it was interesting. It was interesting.
Will you do it again?
I definitely, yeah. It's one of those things where it was good, and even with all the bad things, I think if I was to say I'm not doing it again, then there would be no change. So I think I'm gonna rock the next one in September. As Kat said, rocking the cat wheel, and and I'm gonna be rocking the cat wheel in September when it's on again, and hopefully, the more times we go and the more times we show our voice, the more change that we'll have.
Absolutely, and you definitely should send that post to the organization if you think it
Yes.
was not perfect for
Mm.
people with disability to go in, you know. And
Mm.
I don't know if there is their first time doing it. Maybe they just need improvement. But for the attitude, I have attitude for my own self, so I cannot imagine for people with physical disability what they
Yes.
can feel, you know. And I don't know why some people are going to organize that kind of event and being so attitude and not friendly and etc. Is it at the same time I'm thinking if it's not only for their image to say okay I'm going to bring those people just to make me feel better, just to feel
Mm.
like in I'm putting myself there, I'm the good person, you know, I'm the
Yes.
good guy, you know. And it shouldn't be like that, it should be genuine, right? People
Yeah.
should do it because they really care of inclusivity and not just to say to show themselves better, you know.
Yeah. Jumping on the bandwagon and just making themselves look good. Because
Exactly.
I commented on someone's. I responded to somebody uh, who commented, and I basically said the people who were on the catwalk now need to be the ones on the committee making the next one happen.
Absolutely, it should be the people with disability doing a show about people with disability. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it shouldn't be people that doesn't know anything about it. You know, it doesn't work to make it accessible because you know what you need. You're the right person to know what people need
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
that's
are
it.
living that life. You know.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, so what I'm going to say about that you should organize your own Isaac show, you know. You should just
Right.
not only about showing inclusivity, inclusive clothing, but inclusive things too, you know. You
Mm.
should do like I don't know how to say it in English, you know, that kind of place where sometimes they're selling art, but you there's a lot of little art place, you know, where people are selling, you know. This is in a
Oh, okay.
big warehouse. No, I don't know what's the name.
Like an exhibition.
Yeah, exactly the word I was saying. You should do an
Okay.
exhibition not about people, but about inclusive things, about
Mm.
ramps, about technology, about those kind of things that to put inclusivity in everything. Lord Isaac, you're a guru right now.
The Lord Isaac show. Yeah. This is a name that Kat gave me last week. So yes, Lord Isaac.
Why not? Why not? You're the lord of your own life.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, right. You're right. The Lord Isaac show.
So yeah, you should somebody should do an exhibition, but
Mm,
open to the public. Anyone can go there, of
mm,
course, and people can buy things too. You know, inclusive clothing and give some conference too for the people that don't have any disability, so they can understand. And sometimes they have children with disability and they don't really know how to adapt certain things for them. So
yes.
conference should be good too. You know, I'm just thinking. I have a lot of ideas. I just gave you one free.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I think there is a conference, also exhibition already in the UK called Nadex. I've never been to it before, but that showcases a lot of inclusive things for people with disabilities. And I think there's also one in America, but I can't think of the name now. That's a pretty big one. But in the future there'll be the Lord Isaac show as well.
Why not? You just need your crown.
Yeah.
So if we go back to your career, your job, your what you're
Mm,
doing in your life, you're editing videos, but how does it start to, because probably people were like, say, this guy is not going to work, this guy won't be able to do things. I know that you have a great circle, but I'm sure that you heard those things. I
oh, of
haven't.
course.
I've heard those things myself, so I know what it is. So what was your idea of deciding to go, oh, I'm going to edit videos, I'm going to do this, and how is it going for you?
The thing is, when I left school, I kind of said to myself, I'm doing my own thing. Um, because I stayed in school for about, well, mm, for ages actually. It felt like forever. And I kind of didn't like being in one box, and kind of being stuck to doing one thing. And I always said to myself, if I want to do video editing, if I want to do things, I want to do it out of my own accord. So I kind of just left schools with the mindset that I'm going to do what I want to do. So as soon as I left school, I kind of, someone gave me a camera a year before leaving school, and I started doing YouTube videos, um, showcasing the things that I would get up to, because my life has also evolved around having opportunities. I kind of live off opportunities. If something comes up, I kind of leverage it to its fullest, and then usually another door opens from another opportunity. And I'll just film that and just film my experiences. And then that kind of evolved to making more professional content for organizations that I may have worked for before, or who got in contact with me to make videos. It was kind of like a transferable skill that I was able to use in a more professional sense. And then since then, I've kind of just still been doing my own thing. I also facilitate workshops for people with disabilities. So I work with people with disabilities. And I feel, when I had my enlightening moment, to be able to share my story, and show people that they can be the best version of themselves as long as they put their mind to it. So it's kind of, I'm in so many different avenues, but I'm happy with most of the things that I'm doing because I've stuck to what I said to when I left school. So
Yeah, you did
yeah.
great. And you've learned that yourself, or you've been to school for editing and filming?
It's a funny story. So I went to school and did media studies to learn media and video editing. Um, and I was doing the course, and in school they had MacBooks.
Hmm.
Um, and when I was in school, I used my wheelchair, and I always sat up for school, so I couldn't use a computer because to use a computer, I use my feet and lie down. So the school kind of enough gave me software that I could use at home, so I could edit at home. But it was software that they've never used before, uh, so I had to technically learn it all myself via YouTube. So I've I've kind of self-taught myself because the school didn't know anything about it.
Welcome in my life. I always self-taught everything. Me too. So yeah, I definitely understand the
Yes.
struggles, but at the same time, it's a good thing. I love learning, and the same thing. I know mostly everything about website and
Mm,
everything about editing. I learned everything by myself. And sometimes when I have interview, they are like, which school have you been? Myself. What do you? I didn't. I did a little bit of college and business management, but I never
mm,
did any college for like doing website. I never did this, and so I do feel you so much. And I decided to be self entrepreneur too, because nobody wanted to hire me or give me
Mm.
accessibility because I have a learning disability and I have ADHD. So it was hard for me. And after the pandemic, I lost most of my clientele, and
Okay.
it's like impossible for me to rebuild. And I decided, why not trying to find a job, because I need a job, I need money, I need to pay my rent and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I decided to go to a cashier job, which I hated. Yeah, I had no idea
Mm.
how much I hated. So I decided to get off there
Yep.
and stand my paper to say I'm not going to work there anymore. So,
Mm.
and now I'm trying to find a job in the web industry at part time because I want to
Mm.
also work with the ADHD Melody show. And I'm always super honest with them that I have my show, and that's why I don't want to work full time, because my show is very important for me, and
Mm.
I still want to have a job anyway. In some place they search part time, but I still need to, and and for me, the pandemic also changed a lot of things. I don't need to go to the office anymore. Office disappear almost,
Mm. Mm.
and now it's like hybrid, or sometimes you go, but most of the time home. So for me, it's really a good thing because I'm better in my own environment. So for me,
Yes.
it's like the pandemic gave me accessibility for myself. I'm like, yoo-hoo!
Yes. Yeah, and actually, this is a conversation we spoke about last week, about the environment and why it's so important. Because everyone's environment is better for each, but via each individual. Um, and yeah, you got to make the environment right for the person who's working there.
Absolutely, you need
Mm.
to. And
Mm.
the pandemic gave me a lot of crap, but it gave me at least the possibility to work
The
from
space.
home. Is the only good about that pandemic that happened. And before pandemic, they say people could like work from home and stuff like that, and they were like, no, nobody is going to work from home. They're going to go in office. They're going to drive now or go to work. And now this like changed, and now everybody works at home because it was
I know.
mandatory. And
Yes.
like
Yeah.
nobody now wants to go back to the office because they've seen the amazing life of working from home. Not no traffic, no worries. It's all the
Mm.
best. And I feel I'm more productive too. And they've seen that people were more productive at their own house than
Yeah. Of course.
driving, going, and etc. etc. And it saved them time so they can sleep more and feel more happy about their own life too.
Oh yes, yes, yeah. No, it's very true. I've definitely been a lot more productive at home, but I think sometimes a bit too productive because I end up working very long hours, which is not good all the time. But yeah.
Yeah, but I have ADHD, so I cannot work a long hour because my brain is
Mm.
going to just
Mm.
it's going to stop me. Will say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, if we go back to the mental health, I will say,
Sure.
do you feel sometimes like anxiety, stuff like that, not being able to do the same thing that others, or and go to the restaurant and feel comfortable, or people staring at you at the restaurant because you don't have hands to eat, etc., etc. So, How is it for you this way?
I think when I was younger, it was kind of like I didn't feel comfortable people staring at me. And I thought it was really rude of people to do that, and it made me feel, I guess you could say, yeah, anxious and just not really comfortable in my own skin. But as time has gone by, I have come to this understanding that people are just curious, and people are interested, and most of the time people are scared to come up to you and ask questions, because one of the things that most people see is me moving this wheelchair without any hands, and they're wondering, oh, how is he driving that chair? But it's,
With your mind.
yeah, I've actually said that to someone once. And they actually believed me as well. But yeah, it's because the way I'm sat and where the remote is, it doesn't look like there's a remote there. So I'm kind of like moving this chair magically. Um, but once people ask me and I tell them, they're like, "Oh, okay, now I understand." And then it's kind of like that relieving moment for them. It's like, "Oh, I understand now." Um, I wish there was more encounters like that, because I'm happy to talk to people, and I'm happy to teach people, because a lot of people, as I said, are afraid to ask because they feel that they may offend me. When in reality, I'm always here for a chat. I'm here to talk.
So you wish people just talk to you instead of just like not staring and just having looks, you know. So what will you suggest people to when they see you for the first time? What will be will you want people to just talk to you? You know, how you want them to behave in your presence?
I think friendly hello is a good start, and yeah, just talk to me. I feel the only way we can learn is by having conversations. Like this conversation here. It's I don't know much about ADHD, and you don't know probably about a lot about physically disabilities. So it's a chance for people to learn if we have conversations. Um, Otherwise, if I was, because I know some people with disabilities, um, kind of are not really constructive in the way that they speak, and they always
Mhm.
talk in an angry tone, and it's like, yes, you are angry that people are not doing the right thing, but you showing anger to them is not going to teach them. You know, you got to do it in a way that people can understand and learn from it. Because that's, as much as it's their responsibility to have an open mind about disabilities, it's our responsibility to teach them on how we want things to be done.
Exactly, and that's maybe why people are scared of asking you a question because maybe they did it and the disabled person just like it's not your problem to ask me that, you know, and they don't want to
Mm,
talk about it and they are like not very open minded about people without disability asking them question and learning, you know, and that's a little bit of the reason it's also a problem for both sides, you know. So if you're disabled and please be kind to the other person that want to ask you
yes.
question because they want to learn about you. It's not to mock you. I know that maybe have a lot of experience of people mocking you. I understand that bullying may be part of what you lived when you were young. And talk to me a little bit more about bullying, how it affect you, and how did you overcome it, and just being the best version of yourself.
Um. Again, I only had one experience of bullying, and this was when I was really young, and I thought I didn't really have anyone to go to, and I remember the day actually. It Some guy was over my wheelchair, and he kept on laughing and moving my chair around, and I just felt so uncomfortable. And I was such a young age as well, and this was like a not sixth former, a much older
Mhm.
uh, peer in my school, and that made me feel so uncomfortable, and I just didn't feel right with it. And back then, I just wasn't really comfortable in sharing how I felt with anyone. Um, and someone did end up finding me because I was crying. um, but yeah, I kind of. But since then, I've had some encounters where people have been rude, but now it's like, oh, I either tell you how it is, or I tell whoever's in charge like I don't like that, um, and then they deal with it.
That's great. I'm happy that you didn't have too much bad experience because I know that I did. And I
Mm,
know that a lot of people did too. And I'm great that you were in a great circle of friends that help you and fight for you if somebody was mean to you, you know.
mm.
And that person that find you crying at the right word and help you just feel a little bit better, because I know that
Yes,
experience can be scary, you cannot
very.
fight for yourself, and somebody's moving your wheelchair and you cannot do anything. That must be very terrifying, and
It
I can
was.
imagine. And I feel myself like can move my arm and my feet, and I just moving around. Yeah, don't do that, people.
No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't nice, and especially when you're young as well. It's like, what's going on? I don't understand. Um, but yeah, it wasn't nice.
So when did you found yourself to be different? Because when you're a child, sometimes you think that the world is like and
Mm.
how was it your experience when you realized that you were not like others and others were not like you? How was it for you?
I think the biggest moment for me was seeing um not being able to use public transport like everybody else. Um so I had to get taxis everywhere, to, like hospital appointments. I had to get a taxi, going to friends' houses, going to family. Everywhere I go, I had to use a taxi, um, because in London, buses had steps to get up onto them.
Mm,
So we weren't able to. Um, I wasn't able to get my wheelchair on. So, that made me feel a lot different. And also going to school, I had the school bus come, whereas everyone else would either walk or again get the public bus. But I had to get the school bus for, like, as I said, all my school life. So that kind of made me feel different as well. Um, but as things have got better, I can use buses now. In London, we have something called Transport for London, and they're members of staff who work at each station. So I can go to a station now and say to them, "Oh, I need to get to Central London," and then they would help me onto the train. Then they would call the station I'm going to. I'll be met off the train, and then they help me with the lifts and stuff. So I can have that independence, and I feel that's a good step forward because it allows me to be like everybody else. But yeah, for me, it was transport which made things a lot different, compared to everybody else.
yeah, and when you have it, even if you have a disability, you want to be able to do things by yourself. You
Yeah,
want to have that autonomy of being able to do stuff. And of course, there will be things that you cannot do by yourself.
of
That's
course.
normal, but you want to do as much as you can. Because I guess that you have somebody in your house right now helping you.
Yeah, so I have my mum and brother who support me on a daily basis. And also when I go out and about, I have many friends, and other family members who help me get to A to B and help me eat and get me dressed in the morning. So I'm really grateful for those people. But I'm currently looking for more assistance because and the other annoying thing is with my family and friends, sometimes I'm free and then they're not, so that means I'm not able to do certain things, and that's where my independence kind of gets stuck because I can go out myself and do like half a day or even a quarter of a day, sorry, 3/4 of a day. But when it comes to a full day, I do need someone with me, and that's not always possible. And sometimes I've had to cancel appointments because of it, sadly. So hopefully I'll be able to continue my independence and have more people supporting me.
Of course, and now I guess that your business is going well right now, so you will be probably able to get an employee one day and to help you as well. So, what is the future for your video company?
For video, oh gosh, I don't know because, like I said, I've got so many different avenues that I can take. Um, I don't know. I wanna still do videos, and now I'm doing a bit more public speaking, talking to people like yourself. I've also got Wheels and Wheelchairs, which is the roller skating and wheelchair group that I'm part of, or president of. um, and yeah, I kind of with life, I'm just kind of a free spirit, and I just wanna do what's possible. Really, I wanna do things that not like I said, people don't think is possible with a disability. I wanna just kind of live life and see what's out there. Keep my
Of
options
course.
open.
Talk to me a little bit more about your organization. You said sport, etc. Tell me a little bit more about it and say the name again because I didn't heard it well.
Oh, sorry. Wheels and wheelchairs. And that's a outdoor activity sports club where roller skaters push wheelchair users, and we go around London in these adaptive wheelchairs, which are lightweight wheelchairs, sports wheelchairs with a third wheel attached to the front, and that allows us to not have that wobble and worry about it not being safe, so we can go quite fast.
Mhm. That's great. That's amazing. So, why
Yes.
have you decided to create that organization? Have you had some contact, or is because you have did it before? How does it work?
Yeah, so I oh no, so the organization started in 2012, and I got involved in it at the end of sorry, the beginning of 2019, where I thought this is the most incredible thing that I've ever seen. And I went most weeks, got really involved. We even went to Paris and done something there. And yeah, I really just got involved. And then that led on to our AGM at the end of the year. And we did did the AGM, and then sadly the previous president had passed away
Oh.
when I started. So they were looking for a new president for the organization, and when this topic came up, they all turned their heads at me and asked me, "Would you like to be the new president of the organization?" And I thought, "Oh gosh, I got big shoes to fill here." But I ended up accepting it because when I joined, I thought this group has a lot of potential, and we can really do a lot with this group. And when I did it in 2019, I was creating videos for them, and um, it was just a great time. So I've done it for the past 3 years now. Time flies.
Yeah, time flies. Actually, I think it does, and that's sometimes scary when you don't feel like you're going. You don't when you don't feel that you're going forward and you're just staying back. That's it's quite scary because I felt for a long time I was staying in the same position in my life, and I was like, I need to go a little bit forward, and do something else, and just maybe the pandemic opened my eyes, but at the same time, just like it needs to go. The bad needs to go away, please.
Yes, yes.
And how was it for the pandemic for you?
So I got kind of a different perspective for most people. So before the pandemic in 2020, I said to myself, you know what, 2020 vision, I'm gonna have a good year, and I'm gonna stick to it, whatever happens. Um, and because it was like a new decade and things, I wanted to just have this vision of saying, you know what, I'm gonna have a good year. So it got to the pandemic, and I still had the same mindset. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay positive, and I'm going to just adapt to everything, adapt to the change. And I've kind of just kept that mindset till now, really. If anything comes up, I want to overcome that obstacle and make the most of it, really. Not saying it's easy. Like, for example, I used to always go out before the pandemic, but when the panic happened, to stay at home was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, I've gained all I've gained all this time. Like, what do I do? Um, but it gave me a chance to step back and not have to go to meetings all the time and not have to travel places. Like, I could do it all from home. And but of course, I do like the work I do with people with disabilities. Doing that online is not the same as face to face. So yeah, it had its. I saw more positives than negatives of the pandemic, really.
That's great. I'm happy for you that it worked great. I'm just going to say hi to the people that are here today because I
Yeah.
haven't taken the time of doing that. So thank Juana to be there again. She's the one that's doing my caption on my video right now, and she's doing an amazing job. And I want to say thank you
Oh, cool.
for helping me so much with my videos and making it accessible because it's so important. Thank
Yes.
you, Catherine, for being here. Tiffany, too. You're the best. Thank you so much for being here. Bonjour, David. Hello, hello. Hello. You're so amazing, all you guys, for being here. Do you have any question? Usama, thank you for being here, too. So I was wondering, do you have a question for me or Isaac? I'm very
Yeah.
curious. If you have any, you can ask anything you know. And like Isaac said before, he preferred that you ask question than you
Yeah.
staring at him. Okay.
Yeah. 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 No, I was just about to say the same thing. Ask me anything. I'm here.
Oh, Sama's loving the conversation, and I'm so glad that you do. And thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited because I knew that this show is going to be a little bit more people because of your influence, and I got so many more influence in the past week. Okay, in the past week, everything blown. I have a
It's really cool.
sponsor. Thank you so much for the sponsorship. If you want
Oh
to
gosh.
go 0 dB and get a 15% off, I'm going to show you the link again if you want to get that. For now, it's only in Canada, but go on the link. Go on the
Yep.
contact page and contact them directly. They're probably going to be able to do something for you. We never know. So just call them, and it's going to help you with your focus and with great ingredient, natural, organic. It's all made in Canada too. If you want to go check it out, and you get
W-
15% off, and I get 5% of the sales that you buy to help for the ADHD Melly show. So if you want to help me,
Ho-
that's a great idea too.
hopefully it
And
comes to London.
so did you hear that? If
Yes.
somebody from the business, Gary, if you hear this, London.
Yeah, I want some.
Yeah, because it's so amazing and it's natural ingredient they use up for the calming effect, and
Mm.
it's nice ingredient. Of course, you have the one with caffeine, and for now I'm too hype, so I'm not going to take the one with caffeine. I'm going to take the one that's only relaxing me, and it does wonders. And I felt so stressed this week because of the job that I didn't have any response yet, so I'm a little bit anxious about that.
Mm.
And I had a lot of things, and it's great anxiety for once, not only bad.
Yes, yes. Yeah. No, you're right. Actually, I think anxiety is kind of known as this bad thing, but it's got its both sides to the coin.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to relax it to go forward because
Yes,
you
yes.
cannot do
Mm.
anything when you're in the waiting
Mm.
moment, and just hope that it's going to happen and etc. etc. So, how was it for you now that you have 20,000 people and more following you? How is it to deal with it? Do you have too many
Oh,
comments, too many things that you cannot respond? How do you deal with popularity?
oh, that's a good question. Oh gosh, you know what? I think it's 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 a lot. It is a lot, and when my post did go viral, like I got 7 million views in 7 days, which is insane. Um, it's a lot of like every second your notifications are going up. They're getting a comment. You're getting messages. You're getting connection requests. It's a lot to deal with, and it can be quite somewhat stressful. So I think the important thing is, luckily, I did go semi-viral last year, and I kind of had the same experience. Well, this one was more amplified. Like I didn't get 7 million views, but I think that helped me prepare for it because it's like you can't answer everybody, you can't uh accept everyone, you can't answer every comment. you know, it's one of those things that you just can't do. It's physically not possible. um so you have to pace yourself and take breaks. Like, you can't be on there all the time. It's really not good for your mental health to just be stuck online just messaging people. So once you have that, it's easier to manage. But one thing I really do need is a team now, because as someone said to me the other day, it's only just going to keep getting bigger now. So I need a team.
Absolutely, and I'm so happy for you. Actually, I'm just like, and I did not invite you when you were that popular. By the way,
Yeah,
you were in the beginning before that, where just before I invited you, and you said
yeah, I
yes.
know.
And now, boom, and for me too, I had like more than 200 people just following me in
Mm.
2 days, and was like, oh my goodness. And I'm quite glad of being semi-viral because I can learn how to manage it and not
Yes,
being
yeah.
blowed up in millions. And I've learned a lot too. Then yes, I cannot respond to everybody. I'm trying my best. If I can at least left art,
Oh yeah, that's
to show
important.
them that I've seen it, is what you can do. It's okay, right? And
Yeah.
when you have 7 million people watching you, we probably cannot respond to everyone. That's for
Oh, it's
sure.
impossible. It's
I hope that you
impossible.
got clients. I hope that you did.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of opportunities from it, and a lot of more people to help me out. Thank you very much. um, but yeah, it's an experience. And actually, one thing which did happen this week, I was on the train and someone said, no, someone was looking at me, and I saw them looking. I thought, okay, that's a bit strange, and they kept looking at me, and I thought, okay, what's going on? And then eventually came up to me and she said, "Excuse me, are you from LinkedIn?" And I said, and I said yes. And she said, "Oh, I follow you." I was like, "Oh, cool."
No, you're
So,
a superstar. You're a
yes, it was so funny. She was like, I wasn't sure if it was you, but I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. so, yeah, it's kind of gone into the real world now.
Absolutely.
And she even said, "Oh, can I take a picture of you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." so, so yeah.
So it's starting to be noticed everywhere. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad for you, but at the same time, it must be overwhelmed to have people around you and say, "Oh, you're so famous now."
I know.
It's something that you need to get away around with. And
Oh
when you're
God.
a public speaker like us, and we are always
Mm.
sharing our opinion, it's easier for us to just like, okay, come ahead. We're going to take a picture.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. It's gonna be. I don't know. I don't know how celebrities do it. To be honest, where they get noticed all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
That's so cool. So I don't know if anyone else has some question. If not, I'm going to ask Isaac to give the last word. I'm just going to tell you that me and Isaac I'm going to ask him one or two other question in the back end of the show because I'm going to open a Patreon page very soon,
Mm.
and I want to create little content for you, so you want to just join me there. So I hope that you have an amazing day, and like I said, I'm going to leave Isaac say the last word.
My last words are: I'm gonna give you some a autograph, because that was his comment. I'm gonna give you an autograph and we're gonna have a selfie.
Montreal is accessible for the bus and the subway. Most of them are accessible.
Okay.
So come here.
But yes, yeah. But no, I think the final word is never give up. And you know, everyone's awesome and everyone has their own story, and we should all embrace our own stories, um because no one can be you.
Yeah, exactly. And that builds the confidence to just be around here, around it. And that's what we're going to talk for the Patreon,
Ah,
confidence.
yes, yes.
So don't miss that.
Yeah, yeah,
So bye
guys, you got.
everybody.
Yeah,
See
okay,
you
take
next
care.
Friday.
And,
Bye
and,
bye.
and thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Bye